Whiskey Jason here. Yeah, here. Way behind all these bottles. Tomintoul has a brand new wood finish series that I would like to try with you. I'm going to blind taste all 7 of these. So which one do we have here? We have Caribbean rum cask finish. All 40%, all about 42 euros 90. They just hit Germany this week. All right, we have white port cask finish. White port is absolutely a hit at the moment. So we have Cognac cask finish. Very, very nice. So we have here a Pinot Noir cask finish. A red wine, a wine. We have a Merlot wine finish. Very, very nice. We have here our Tawny port. I'm leaving them all in the bottles, all in the tins on purpose here. And we have a Pedro Jimenez PX Sherry cask finish. All right, so we have all of these. So what are we going to do? I'm going to put my glasses here. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I hope you can see that each one of these has a little tiny letter on there. All right, so with colors it would probably been better. And what I have here is I have already, these are my, when I do a bottle share, I have to fill up into the separate little bottles. I can go for 5 cl, I can go for 10 cls, and in this case, I wanted to actually do a live stream where people could do this with me in German. Didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? Because the first available appointment for that would have been the middle of July, and that was just too long to wait. So I decided, hey, boom, I'm going to do it myself. So we have the same letters corresponding to the same glasses here, and I'm going to smell them, I'm going to taste them, I'm going to rank them, and at the end I'm going to reveal what is. I do have a list where everything is on here. I don't know. Now, I do know a little bit because I've already done this in German. It was a few hours ago. I do need a little bit of rest in between here. Oh, looky there. I left my glasses here, and of course, a little fruit fly decided to evade my glass here. Wait a second, I can get rid of them. There we go. I'm sure that's going to affect my whiskey tasting ability a lot here. So, now, C and D, I can almost guess what they are. I guessed correctly in my German video, so I'm going to guess correctly in my English video. This is a color I know very well. This is a color I also know. So this is probably a brown color, and the only whiskey I have here that has a brownness to it is a sherried whiskey. Now, sherried is going to be, in this case, the Pedro Jimenez. This whiskey is a red color. Now, I was not 100% sure which one that was. Is it a red wine? Is it a Merlot? Is it Pinot Noir? Is it a... what else did we have here? Jason doesn't... we have the... Of course, we have the port wine finish. So... let's go down here. We had the Pinot Noir, Merlot. Okay, those are the 2 that I could never actually associate there. If you see the red wine, it's going to be a port, okay? Port Pedro Jimenez. So yes, that does get rid of some of the excitement that we have here. E, F, and G, as well as A and B, all look basically the same, but they do smell very, very different. So I'm just going to pour these in here, and then I'm going to smell from A to G. I'm going to rank them, and then I'm going to taste them. I'm going to rank them again, and I'll actually reveal from the worst to the best. So I need about, you can probably see already, I'm going to take about 45 minutes to do this. So let's go. Let's go for A. So I do not know what I have here in my glass in A. So, interesting enough, on the press release that I have here, there is no mention whatsoever about these whiskeys on the Tomintoul website. So if we go over my nice little book here, we have our malt whiskey yearbook 2023. We have Tomintoul. We have 3.3 million liters. So in the short period of 5 years, no less than 11 malt distilleries were constructed in Scotland, and Tomintoul belonged to these between 1962 and 1967. The boom years, maybe. Does it sound like today? I think today's booming even more. All right, those years were truly a golden era for Scotch whiskey, which has started shortly after World War II. The founders were two Glaswegian whiskey brokers, Hay and McLeod, and W&S Strong, and for the distillery design, National Industrial Fuel Efficiency Services was called in. Wow, that does not sound like something we would say today, does it? National Industrial Fuel Efficiency Service. Talk about getting rid of all of the romantic thoughts we ever had about whiskey. All right, so the consultancy firm had been formed 10 years earlier by the Ministry of Fuel and Power to meet the need for the industry to become more energy efficient. Wow. All right, in the 60s, energy efficiency? In the 70s, yeah, but 60s? Ah, wow. Today, this is an issue that is always a top priority for any distillery. After a few years, Tomintoul merged with Fettercan, and shortly after that, the two founding whiskey brokers were sold. I did not know that Tomintoul and Fettercan were together. Wow, were sold, including stock in the two distilleries for 5.5 pounds. I hope it's 5.5 million pounds back then. It says 5.5 pounds to become part of the White and Mackay. Tomintoul single malt was an important part of the White and Mackay blend until 2000, when the current owners, Angus Dundee, took over. Now, according to the press release, and now I'm just getting some time in the glass, over in Germany, where I live, Glencadam switched their importer from I don't want to mention to Kirsch import. I mention the word Kirsch a lot. They're one of, if not the biggest, at least for whiskey brands over here in Germany. Now, guess which one just switched over to Kirsch? Ta-da! Tomintoul. All right, so Tomintoul was built 1965, if I remember correctly. Yep, very, very good. All right, so let's smell and let's rank. All right, A. Now, I wrote down fruity as my number one tasting note that I had in the original. I like A. A is good. I got a little bit of is it not? It's not forest. It's a orchard. I got the orchard in here, like a apple, cherry, pear orchard. I like A. A is good. All right, let's go to B. Always smell in between. Now, B, I have sulfur. B, I do not like. B is a red wine. What red wine is it? I don't know. B, sorry guys and girls, you used a sulfur cask. Shame on you. So the more and more I'm diving into the sulfur, into the sherry and the sulfur, the more disillusioned I become. I just was watching this Chivas Regal's Pinot Ricard. They said, oh, we had problem getting casks. Sherry casks were 1,500, then it went up to 3,000, and we just like, okay, good, stop. We're going to buy a tanker truck of sherry, bring it up to Scotland. We'll make our casks ourselves and call them sherry casks. There's something wrong with a sherry cask that was made in Scotland, that was matured in Scotland, and used for single malt Scotch whiskey. Now, it's not sherry. Sherry has a protected region. Now, I do know that they bought the sherry. I do know that my little things here are sherries, and brought that sherry up there. But, no. No. All right. So I remember them rejuvenating casks. So older casks that you buy sherry casks in the Triangle of Jerez in Spain. You bring it up there to Scotland, you use it the first time, you use it the second time, then you rejuvenate the cask by pouring in 5 liters, rolling around twice, and putting a whiskey in afterwards. I knew that was happening, but I did not actually know that they were making their own sherry cask themselves in Scotland already. All right, so B is going to go very, very far down the rank because it has the sulfur in there. Sulfites, yuck. Okay, I get some raisins. I get a little bit of cinnamon. This is very, very nice. All right, we're going to put C towards the front. I like sherry, apparently. I like Pedro Jimenez. You can always make something better with Pedro Jimenez, with PX. Now the red wine, I get raspberries, I get currants, and I get a little bit of a strawberry. Now the question of the day is it better than A? No. On the nose, it's not. All right, good. So C, D, A, B. So I'll put my samples over here so you can almost read the lettering here at least, so I know where I am. Do I need to print out the letters bigger next time? Probably. All right, sorry. Now, E, F, G. A little bit of a honeysuckle moment going on there. Like it. I like it better than the B. Do I like it better than the A? No. F. Sweet. Okay, I like it much better than the B. I like it better than the E. And I'm going to stick A still there. All right, that's interesting. And the last one's going to be our G. Get a little bit more of wood. Okay, B has now moved all the way down. This is how we do our blind tastings actually in my channel in German as well. I send out 23 of these sample packs with 6 or 7 of these, usually 6 of these samples. They fit wonderfully in a so-called maxi letter. So it's a little box that I can send for a certain amount of money, fairly €2.75, all over Germany. So I can send these little samples here. These bottles are fantastic. You can actually literally stand on them. They don't break. I used to have other 3CL things. I had one batch, I think there was something wrong with the batch. I think I sent out 200 bottles and like 12 broke. And it wasn't because of the postage service. It was because the bottles themselves were not great. We switched suppliers, and I have not had a single broken bottle since. I'm very, very happy about that. Also, the size of the opening is very easy to pour in there. So my 2CL things look like this, so they have a much smaller cap, and that's a little bit of a problem there. Not impossible, but I just love these 3CL sample bottles we have there. So G, where did I put it? E. I'm going to move E down. I'm going to keep F there. All right, good. So we have C, which I think is the sherry. Look at the color, I know. We have D, which I think is the Tawny port, which I know. And then we have all the ones that are not as heavily colored, and I don't know what is. The B is a wine cask. I have that sulfur. Boo. E. E might be also a wine cask. So, Pinot Noir, Merlot, G. Is it going to be the Cognac? I don't know. F. F is a sweet one. F is going to be the rum, I think. Which means the A is the white port. Now, at the moment, white port has a lot of bottlings. White port cask finish is at the moment the what is it in America that all the bourbons are using at the moment? Here, 1 second. I can find this here. We have the Amburana. So everything in America, at least in the U.S., a lot of people having the Amburana. And at the moment over here in Scotland, or at least Scotland, Ireland, and so on, it's white port. Now, there are basically 4 types of port. You have the Tawny port, which means it spent basically its entire life in oak casks. Yay! You have ruby port, which means it spent basically all its life in a steel tank to keep the nice color, a ruby color. Tawny is always dark, ruby is always red. And so a ruby port cask finish means finished. Means seasoned cask, not an old Tawny port where you had 30, 40 years of even 100 years of the port in there. So ruby finish. Then you have the rosé, so pink. It's rosé. It's a rosé. In between, and you have the white. When I was in Porto in Portugal, I had the rosé. I've had for the last 13 years, I would say, of my life. It could have been only 12. A friend of mine, he actually says, "Oh, Jason, you like red wine? You like red port?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Have you tried a white?" I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "Oh, you have to." So I went out. I found a white port. Wasn't a great fan. I've tried the white port also in Portugal and so on. Give me a good Tawny any day. Give me a good ruby is not bad, but Tawny ports are really, really nice. So 4 types of ports. So we're gonna see more white. We've seen for the last 5 years more ruby, and so I'm waiting for the rosé. All right, and for sherry, we have here, of course, all these different types of sherries, and here we have the Pedro Jimenez. Those raisin-like grapes that were made into a wonderful sherry. Yummy, yummy. All right, let's try this. We have our sulfur monster. It's not a monster, but there is sulfur here. That's a shame. Why put that sulfur candle in there? Yes, I know, because just like wine turns into vinegar, it spoils. Exactly the same thing with a wine cask. It spoils, but there are methods to avoid that from happening, because we know there are people like Jason here that just hate it. Whatever, yeah, the B is, we don't need it. I definitely don't need that whiskey. All right, now if you're sulfur insensitive, go for it. I'll mention this in my second whiskey I try. All right, so I'm going to move over to E. Boo. The world does not need B. E. I called it the E was my... What was my E here? My Merlot? Mm-hmm. Mm. I don't know. I don't know if that was a Huh. But it's good. It's not wow, but it's not great. So the entire time I'm thinking there's actually, so there's this, and this is what it does at the beginning, and it just deteriorates. I have the feeling that they used no age statement anywhere. We do know that it was ex-bourbon, but then after that, we do not know how long the finishes were. Were they all the same? Did they have the same amount of liquid in them? Was the duration of maturation beforehand in the ex-bourbon as well as the maturation as a finish the same? No information whatsoever. All right, that could have been a little bit more transparent. We do know that they all natural color, yay, but chill filtration, 40%. What do you expect, right? All right, a little bit sweet. Not sure, is the E or the F here going to be my, this is the notes I wrote down in my first video. Exactly as it says here, wood, sweet, can't read it, berries, raisins, sulfur, fruit, and HWD. I have no idea what I wanted to write down for E there. So let's go to G. Let's take a sip first of all. Okay, my G was the wood. Is it my cognac? The finish is nice. That's the first finish where I'm like, that's going to stay there. Now, I usually grade my whiskeys on the nose, on the palate, and on the finish. Now, we could have at the beginning the entry, the mid-palate, the finish, and so on, but I like the G. There is some old wood going on in there and a nice movement forward. All right, let's go for F. F I wrote down was sweet. I definitely like G better than I do F. Now, for me, F and E are similar. But the finish is, the finish of F is better. This has a little bit more, it's not maple syrup, it's corn syrup. So I'm going to say the F is going to be my rum. I'm going to say G is going to be my cognac. My B with my sulfur is evil. And the E, I'm not sure. Pinot Noir? All right, let's go for the last one that's bright and light. On the nose, as well as on the palate. That's a light summer whiskey. If I didn't know better, I would say that's a Cabernet Blanc. It's like a white, it's like almost like a white wine. I don't have a white wine finish, do I? Tiny little bit of that wood in at the back. A little bit of a, it's not perfectly a graham cracker. It's a German Butterkeks. So it's like a digestive biscuit. That's nice. Okay, A, G, F, E, B. Now, the port. I know it's the color really just sticks out here, all right? So it's amazing. Right? How wet were those casks? I like the A better than the D. Why? There's a tartness here of a currant, of a not yet ripe red currant. I might actually go for the G was here, my wood. Nah, I'll leave that there. A, D, G, F, E, B. And at the very, very end, What can go wrong with Pedro Jimenez? Pedro Jimenez makes everything better. Ice cream, whiskey, it even smells nice. Leather, raisins. Mm. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Mm. All right, so what am I going to do here? I'm going to give you 4 whiskeys that I would say for the 42 euros 90 cents that I had to pay for each bottle are worth it. The first 2 are really worth it. C and A. The second 2 is worth it if you can't find anything else. D and G. And the B we don't need, and the F and the E, I would not buy a bottle. The question of the day is, we have all these different finishes. We have white port, Tawny port. We have Pedro Jimenez. We have Pinot Noir. We have Merlot. We have Cognac. And we have Caribbean rum. What other finishes are missing? I could say in Ireland they're doing a lot of beer finishes. But I don't think that's allowed in the Scotch Whisky Association. It's not a traditional finish, is it? Is anyone doing a beer finish in stouts and so on? Oh, wait a second. Dragon's Milk. That was a stout. That's what Deanston did. So I guess a beer finish is missing. Tequila is missing. Mezcal is missing. What other typical finishing casks are missing? I have 7 different ones here. We have 2 ports, I have 2 wines. A lot is going on here. All right, so let's reveal. So let's open up my window here from my revelation, and my sulfur whiskey, which I did not think was going to happen, is going to be my white port cask. B is white port cask finish. White port, hand-selected white port barriques from Portugal. All right, Robert Fleming, I think you need to pick better casks in the future for the white port. Now, I have an extensive, for each and every one, I'm going to read these. On the nose, I should have tangy, stone fruit, and lychees mingled with lime, drizzle cake, vanilla pod, and ginger biscuits. I get sulfur. Layers of apricot Danish poached pears. All right. Now, is there a comma there? Layers of apricot Danish poached pears. And tatin bound with black coffee, buttery malt, and baking spices. Tarteetatin. Tatin. Wow. Layers of apricot Danish poached pears. And sweet, warming with notes of Swiss roll and strawberry trifle, fading into mocha and toasted nuts. That's the finish. Well done of writing. This whiskey delivers none of what I thought it was. I was expecting something nice. And this is a whiskey that I said the world does not need. F. All right, white port. A friend of mine, actually a fellow whiskey tuber, is doing a white port finish blind tasting on his YouTube channel. I think this weekend, next weekend, sometime really soon. All right, B, bye-bye. E, what do we have next? Oh, Jason. All right, so the Caribbean rum cask finish, the 2 that are the lightest of color from the tins here. So we have here Tomintoul aged in exceptional ex-bourbon American oak barrels, which were then married and finished in hand-selected Caribbean rum barrels. What's a Caribbean rum barrel? An ex-bourbon barrel, by the way. All right, on the nose, fresh and bright with aroma of raspberry, blossom, coconut oil, Parma violets, and custard Danish. Eh. On the palate, layers of muscovado, sugar, iced buns, and cider toffee bound with lotus biscuit, nougat, and coconut cream. Sounds really nice. On the finish, sweet butterscotch and chocolate eclairs fading into a warming cake spice linger. Wow. Not really what I need. F. So, F is going to be our Pinot Noir cask finish. So, F says here, finished and hand-selected Pinot Noir wine barrels from Burgundy, France. And the process of finishing creates a beautifully rich, complex, and full-flavored single malt, if you say so. On the nose, a bouquet of summer berries. I think I wrote something like that with berries. I wrote sweet. And red grapes bound with phyllo pastry. What's phyllo? F-I-L-O pastry. Baking spices and salted caramel. I do not get salted caramel. So sweet layers of baked strawberry, blackcurrant, licorice, glazed cherries, and oat flapjacks. All right, not pancakes, flapjacks, structured with tobacco and oak spice. Ooh, that sounds really good. All right, warming at the finish, clove and wood spices mingled with bramble, vanilla pod, and ginger biscuits. Nice. Great descriptions. Don't get most of it. All right, so those are the three where I say, nah, we don't really, the world does not need those. G, let's move over to that one here. The G is our Cognac cask. Did I get that one right? Yeah, I got that one right. G, I knew. All right, it says here, and finished in hand-selected Cognac casks from France. Nowhere else. It's a protected region. You cannot have Cognac outside of France. So you can have brandy outside of but you can't have Cognac. All right, light and lifted with aromas of chestnut. Did not get the chestnut. Lemon and blossom honey. Amaretti biscuits and hints of chamomile and fennel. I like chamomile and fennel. I like fennel more than I do chamomile. All right, sweet chateau pastry. I don't know what that is. Chaux. My French is bad. And chantilly cream. Don't know what that is. Mingled with sugared almonds, butterscotch, golden raisins, and rolling tobacco. Wow. On the finish, layers of white chocolate. Did I get white chocolate on the finish? I'm not sure about that. Panettone and nutmeg fading into warming ginger spice. All right, I like the cognac. That was okay. Not something I must have, but something I could actually have envisioned buying there. D is going to be our port. So let's look at the list. Oh, surprise, surprise, Tawny port. So it says here, hand-selected Tawny port barriques from Portugal. Oh, finished. So those are barriques, hogsheads, the same. They don't really use hogsheads, barriques, do they? In the Tawny, they have port pipes. All right, indulgent berry fruit, bramble jam, dark chocolate, cushioned with nutmeg and sherry liqueur. That was a good description. A wash of black currants, blueberries, did not get that, black forest gâteau, bound with cozy oak spices and mocha coffee. Gateau. I live in Germany. I've been to the Black Forest many times. I have no idea what the word gâteau means. All right, and the finish, maraschino cherries, thick cut marmalade, fading into a clove and cinnamon linger. What is thick cut marmalade? Marmalade is just jelly. It's marmalade. Jam. Basically just jam, right? I don't know. All right, I'm going to be thick cut. A totally surprised me. So if you would have said, Jason, here's a glass of Merlot, here's a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon, what would you rather have? I would 100 times out of 100 times go for the Cabernet Sauvignon. I'm not a big fan of the Merlot. And yet, Merlot was number 2. Who would have guessed that? Not me. So, finished in hand-selected Merlot wine barrels from the Bordeaux region of France. And it says here we should have aromatic notes of fruit blossom and summer berries mixed with cinnamon buns, acacia honey, and candy peels. Acacia is pronounced differently in English, but that's how we do it in German. I like the nose. Sweet layers of Morello cherry jam. I do not know Morello. Wow, this is a whole video about my ignorance of foods. Summer pudding. I don't know summer pudding. I don't know winter pudding. I don't know summer pudding. Wow. And red currant jam cushioned with tobacco spices and cacao powder. The Finnish cozy cake spices, cappuccino foam fading into almond fingers, and toasted pecans. I love pecans. Maybe that's the reason why I like that. And last but not least is going to be our Pedro Jimenez. As I said, what else? Pedro Jimenez makes everything better. So, finished in hand-selected Pedro Jimenez sherry butts. Oh, big ones. From Andalusia in Spain. Very, very good. So on here we have our notes, aromas of sweet treacle. That's like a syrup made more or less from the sugar beets. And dried figs, got that mingled with malt loaf. Have no idea what that is. Raisins and baking spices. Palette, layers of fruit cake and banana bread. Ooh, did not get the banana bread. Followed by marzipan, stuffed dates. I've never had a date stuffed with marzipans. That sounds awesome, though. I like marzipan, I like dates. Wow. Toasted walnuts and sultans with hints of clove and cinnamon. On the finish, notes of Danish pastries. Yep. Cacao powder and syrup sponge cake fading into a warming oak and tobacco linger. They love the word linger at the end. All right, so definitely the Pedro Jimenez you should buy. The Merlot I personally liked a lot. The Tawny port was nice, and G was here our Cognac cask. Very, very good. What I was not a fan of, Pinot Noir. What I was not a fan of was the rum. Surprise, surprise. And the white port, absolutely no go. All right, so that's my summary of what's going on here in the world of Tomintoul. Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and telling others. I hope it was a little bit of interesting moments for you here to watch how I do my tasting reviews in German, usually with another 20 people watching and another 4 people on the screen. We nose, we rank, we taste in the other direction, and at the end we reveal. Have a good one. WhiskyJason here. Bye-bye.